There's a lot of physics and chemistry involved, and geometry and mathematics. The glass that is used has various chemical substances that create the color, and they will react to one another if you're not careful in your selection of glass. So when I figured out that I wanted to use these 3 colors of glass, I had to then look up the chemical composition of each one.
I look for positive, it's an art lecture now, positive and negative spaces. I look for the line, I look for color. And all of those things are what go into making art, whether it's figures or it's plants or landscapes, all of those things. But that's kind of like you learn all of that, and then you translate it into your vision.
This is my River's Edge series, and this is an end table that's really inspired by nature. I spent a lot of time around the river here, as well as way up north, and I think some of the most beautiful scenes in nature occur where there's water and trees, and so really this is just an obvious sort of interpretation of that. I get the stones from Lake Superior, and the walnut is here. This particular piece of walnut came from a tree on Farwell Street.
This one definitely pushed me out of my comfort zone. It's something it was that first piece of that non-representational work that I really dove into, and I think with that I just know all of the challenges that came with it. And so when I look at the piece, that's what I feel again. And I think I've developed a lot since then. So like going back to this, it's like looking at, old early work and you're like, oh, that's embarrassing, But I think it does have a lot of like very unique moments that I pull from as well in my new pieces too. So just like the delicate line work in here, I think is quite special to this one.
This is called Simply Morning. It's a representation of actually what it's like in Door County. As I sailed in and out of harbors, the islands, bigger island that's out in the middle of the bay, and it's about the simple structures that you get throughout there because of the glacier coming through. And this is a simple representation of what it's like for me in the morning, the pinkish color, the rocks, the color of the rocks, the gray water, gray sky, just as sun comes up.
We put our headphones on and we listen to music, and when I'll take walks with our dog around here, I have to take my headphones off to really be present in that environment that truly inspires me visually, but also auditorily. The other inspiration is really from different artists, and Terry, of course, is one of the greatest inspirations to me, partially, certainly because of his skills, but because of his discipline. And to have the discipline to paint every single day. I know Pat Ham is the same way, and I know many artists that I admire find that time to paint every single day. So I think that the inspiration I get from other artists leads me in that creative way where I'll find that I really am attracted to patterns. I really like Klimt, the artist. I love to see people go out of their boundaries and explore different means and different patterns. So I really like to view the Modiglianis and see how portraits can be very inspirational to nature as well, and different connections between artists.
You have to be somewhat spiritual to be a good artist, I think. It's at least a journey that you have to follow. You have to have some insight, instincts and that kind of thing. And then you have to develop some skills. And I've always said that the skill itself, whatever that amounts to, whether you're a potter or painter or whatever, ultimately becomes your language when you learn it well enough. And when it becomes your language, then suddenly you have moved, I think, from the journeyman or the craftsman, if you want to call it that, into the master.
I guess you can see it as sort of being symbolic of life. It never is not something that comes, fire is not something you can resolve. It just keeps coming, like most of the things in life. And that's basically what that's about.
Called Feed Mill, and it was, a lot of my paintings are, I get the ideas on road trips that I take, and this one was in Nebraska a couple years ago. And I took several photographs of it from different angles and did this painting of it. I left out a lot of detail, but this is generally how my paintings are. I eliminate a lot, but try to keep it simple and just the basic essentials.
Most of the times it's only about me, the people I know, accidents that I've been in or experiences, not much more than that. Probably the most part that I enjoy instead of doing those is like making the idea ready. So whenever something starts, it's just a line or two, and then few sketches come in, and then you try to improve those sketches by first etudes.
This piece is entitled A Blue Sky Proposition, and the fundamental image here is the looking across the footbridge towards the university across the Chippewa River. And truth be told, I haven't a clue how many layers I put into this. They all, probably at least half a dozen or 9. They were all shot down there by the river, but at various times of the year. You see the summertime foliage across to the university, yet along here, these are autumn leaves that have gathered up on the bank. I think this is a real interesting piece for the number of layers and how they've interacted with one another. And it's my pleasure. I'm delighted to be of service to the Arts Council. And it is a tremendous honor to have been picked for this.